Okay.
Let me start recording.
Mhm.
Okay. What is your question?
Okay. So I'm assuming when we get formally set up, so I will let Hunter know, and we'll likely start with just 3 users for the test environment. And
Okay.
I believe Hunter advised last time that we could add users if we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to make sure that that was correct, because I'm thinking that we may add like a couple more users that are within the specific environment that would be focusing on this software.
Okay, yes, you can add users, and after we're done, I'll connect with Hunter and let him know that that's kind of what you guys are thinking, adding a few more users, and he can also reach out to you and help you get those set up as well.
Yeah, I have an email from him from Monday, and I'll just respond to that with the initial 3 and let him know that we may add just a couple more. So I'll do that. Perfect.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'll connect with him afterwards too, because he'll probably just want an update on the training today. But yeah, email him. He's pretty good at responding. He's in the office today.
Okay, will do. Perfect. Thank you. And Matt advised he's almost joining, but I don't want to waste your time. So I would just go ahead and get rolling if you want to.
Yeah, I can do that. I just want to let you know I have Carrie Walden on this call. She is the another customer success support person. So
Okay.
if I'm ever out of the office, you guys can definitely reach out to her. She's just going to sit in. I'm newer to Appulate, so if there's some questions I don't know, I'm going to refer to her. But just a heads up that she's on this call too.
Okay. Hi, Carrie.
Hey, sorry, I'm kind of hanging out in the background today.
That's okay. Understand.
All right, I'm going to share my screen with you and then we'll get going. This is recording, so I will send this a little bit later to you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so the structure of the call that we're going to be going over today is we're going to get into the workflow of Appulate, and then the workflow is how to process a submission from start to finish. And then at the end, I'll show you where some additional training is. So if you're furiously taking notes or whatever you might be doing and you miss a step on something, just know that we probably already have it written out or in a pre-recorded video for you. But if you have any questions or need any clarification on anything, just feel free to stop me in my tracks and we'll get you taken care of.
Perfect. Thanks.
So you're first going to go to appulate.com/sign-in, and everyone's username is going to be their email address. And if you ever forget your password or whatever the case, you just click on this link, forgot password, to reset it.
Okay.
When you manually sign in to Appulate via the website, you're going to be taken to your Appulate dashboard. This dashboard will start to fill with all of your different insureds as you start to work within the system. So mine's empty because you're my first training today. So that's why nobody's in here for me. But as you start to work within the system, that's when your insureds will start to appear. The very first thing that you want to do is to download Appulate Uplink. Uplink is a simple print driver that allows you to bridge over your cord forms into Appulate. Therefore, it's eliminating the need to rekey any of the data that you include on your Accord forms. So whatever you include on your Accord forms, you won't have to re-type into the Appulate system. If it's duplicated, it'll automatically just save into Appulate for you. Uplink complements any agency management system. And with that said, if you don't have an agency management system or a completed Accord form, you can always just use this Add New Customer or Prospect button. To locate Uplink, you're going to go up to this blue dashboard up top, and under the Tools tab, you'll choose Appulate Uplink. And to download, you'll just click on this Download Uplink Driver button. Oh, here's Matt. Get him in. You'll just click on this Download Uplink Driver button, and it takes about a minute to install, but once it's installed, Uplink will show up as a printer driver option for you. So that is Uplink. Now I'm going to talk over Weblink. So to download Weblink, you're going to go back up to this blue dashboard, and under the Tools tab again, you'll choose the last option, Appulate Weblink. Weblink is a browser-specific extension that allows you to bridge over duplicate data from Appulate to carrier portals that a Weblink connection has been developed for. To download Weblink, you'll just click on this Get Extension button, and this one only takes about 15 seconds to install, but once it's installed, it'll be ready to bridge over duplicate data from Appulate to Weblink carriers. And because this is a browser-specific extension, if you use multiple browsers to quote, you'll need to download the extension on the multiple browsers. So right now you can see I'm in Chrome, but if you use maybe Chrome and Firefox to quote, just make sure you download this on all of the browsers that you use. So Uplink is bridging over duplicate data from Accord Forms into Appulate, whereas Weblink is bridging over duplicate data from Appulate to Weblink carrier portals. Do you have any questions on those two things?
No, makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to review markets, and we're first going to go over the selected market list. So selected markets, you'll go back up to that blue dashboard, and under markets, you'll click on selected. You want to think of selected markets as your agency's private library of markets. So this should be a list of markets that your agency represents or is currently appointed with. Once you're ready to add markets to your list, we're going to go back up to that blue dashboard and click on Available under the Market tab. Available markets you want to think as the public library of markets. So you can see down here, there's over 4,000 markets available within Appulate. So I definitely recommend using the search function to search for whatever market you're looking for. So I'm going to search for travelers. Oops, if I can type today, sorry. So once you're ready to add the market that you search for to your list, you're going to go all the way to the right-hand side of the screen and click on this little plus button. And that action just moves them from the available markets into your selected markets. So essentially from the public library to your private library. Once you add all of your markets, the last piece of setup is adding credential information for markets that require it. So to manage your passwords, we're going to go in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and click on your name. And at the bottom is this market login section. This is where you can input your username, your password, and if applicable, a producer code. Just a note that this login type automatically defaults to use shared login. So if your entire office uses one login for a portal, it'll automatically default to that. But if people use their own logins, they just want to make sure they use this to use my login. Another thing I like to tell people is a lot of carriers make you update your password like 60 to 90 days out. So whenever a password is updated, just make sure you come back into Appulate and update that password in here as well. And then you'll click Save, and that's the last piece of setup. Do you have any questions on those 4 pieces of setup?
No, good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to get into the workflow portion of Appulate, and I'm going to start with my Accord form. But I just like to ask people before I even open up my Accord form to not focus on the line of business I'm using for my example, but how I'm processing the submission instead. I say that because regardless of the line of business that you're working on, the workflow in Appulate will be identical. So even though I'm going to do a work comp submission today, the workflow wouldn't have changed if you've been doing a business auto, a cyber liability, or any other line of business that you guys write. Uplink is the tool that we're going to start with, and there's 2 ways to utilize Uplink. First, you're going to open up your Accord form wherever you keep it. Mine's on my desktop, but yours might be in your agency management system. You'll open it up. You'll click on your print button, and then you want to make sure that your printer destination is Appulate Uplink. Once it's that, you'll just click your print button, and then a pop-up will appear asking you to validate your Appulate credentials. The second way to utilize Uplink is a popular shortcut. You simply just right-click on that Accord form and choose Uplink from the drop-down menu. And then that pop-up will appear again asking you to validate your credentials. Some people like shortcuts. Some people don't like shortcuts until they have an understanding of the process and the system. So whatever is comfortable for you, feel free to utilize Uplink. So once your credentials are confirmed, your workstation will open Appulate and ask you to confirm the desired line of business that you want to work on. This occurs if the Accord form you're using is applicable to more than one line of business. So if I drop this down, my system is smart enough to know that an Accord 130 could apply to these 5 different lines of business. Another example I like to give people is if you uplink the Accord 125, and since the 125 is a general application and applies to most lines of insurance, the drop-down list would be much longer. So for today, I'm going to work on work comp. And once you confirmed what you want to work on, you'll just click continue. And then you'll be taken to the Smart Q&A section within Appulate. Any questions before I review a couple of tabs with you?
Nope, good.
Okay. So this first thing I want to review is this Master Insured tab right here. So this was automatically created based off of the information you provided on your Accord form. The tab will not change unless you change or add additional information to it. There's also a contact section within this Master Insured tab. So you see Nicole right here because I included her as a contact on my Accord form. So she automatically populated when I created my profile. But if you need to add more contacts, whatever the case may be, you can just go and add them over to the right-hand side. So this tab right here, this is the submission tab, and it's labeled with the line of business that you're working on, the effective date, and the current status of your submission. I completely forgot to update my Accord form, so I actually do need to change my effective date. So if you ever or need to change your effective date, you simply just click on the date. You can type in the date or use the calendar tool, whatever you prefer. So I actually do need to change my date because it's past. I'm going to change it to Tuesday and save it. So if you ever do change the effective date, all currently existing forms and any newly added forms will automatically update with the new effective date. So you won't have to go back to your original Accord 130 that you uplinked and change it yourself. Appulate will actually do it for you. And I will show you that right now, just to give you a reference. It automatically went from 8/31 to 9/7. So you don't have to spend the time, go back and edit your forms. A contact, I like to add my contact from the beginning as well in case I might need to email something, whatever the case may be. And to do that, you just go to the right-hand side to this underlined verbiage, no main contact. And there's Nicole again, so I'm just going to add her to the record. I'm now going to review the Forms tab with you to the left-hand side. I'm going to delete this. I don't know why this populated. So currently it's reflecting the 130 that we put in there originally, and then it automatically added the 125 for me based off of changing the effective date. But maybe at this point, maybe we need to add an additional Accord form, but we haven't completed them yet. So I'm going to save some time and let the Appulate system complete them for me instead. So to add additional Accord forms, you'll just click on this Available Forms, and then this drop down right here. The list shown will be those that apply or could apply to the line of business that you're working on. So I'm going to add my Accord 133 to the record by checking that box. And now that my 133 has been added, all duplicate data that was housed on my original Accord 130 has been dispersed to this form, as well as my 125. So this has a lot of questions that weren't duplicated, but my 125, I didn't have to fill out much because a lot of like the name and address, the phone number, stuff like that. I like to tell people the more thorough your Accords are filled out when you uplink them, the more information that will be saved into Appulate and then bridged over into Accord forms, additional Accord forms for you guys.
Okay.
Any questions on Accord forms?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Now I'm going to talk about supplementals, and supplemental forms are added to your submission based off of 2 factors. The first is the line of business that you're working on, and the second are the markets that you selected. So I'm going to add my markets by clicking on this little plus symbol right here. And then you would add the markets that you want to submit your risk to. For today, I'm going to add the 4 markets that represent the 4 different ways that you can submit to within Appulate. I also like to tell people about this open brokerage market section. So if you ever see that there's markets in the open brokerage market section, you can actually submit and get a quote back from them even without having an appointment. So if you're ever curious to what the product is like, what their pricing is like, feel free to utilize this section as well. It is based on the line of business and the location of the insured. So State Fund First is California only. So State Fund First would disappear if it were any state but California. If you end up liking the quote you get back from them, that's when you need to contact the market and get an appointment with them. Now that my markets have been added, all supplemental forms that apply to my desired markets and my line of business have been added. And all of the data for my original Accord 130 has been dispersed to all supplemental forms shown. So I'm going to open up this Westlake GA supplemental and just show you guys. You can see that it's fairly complete based off of the bridge data for my Accord 130 and saving me some time by not having to fill this supplemental out manually. If you ever need to edit any of your forms, you would just go in line with the one you want to edit all the way to the right-hand side to the edit button. I'm going to edit my supplemental. This takes you to the line by line, the Q&A view of the supplemental, but I know a lot of agents prefer to see the form itself. So you would just go up here to this inline option, and it takes you to the form view to edit. And anywhere you see a pencil is where you can edit information on the form. You also have additional options by going to the right-hand side again, but clicking on the 3 dots instead. This reveals the option to send via email, via fax, sign forms or request signatures from your insured, or send a questionnaire to your insured to complete. You also have the option to send multiple forms to your insured to complete by going back into the Smart Q&A section. And then to the right-hand side, you'll see this Send Q&A button. You'll click on that. And this option allows you to select exactly what you want your insured to answer specifically. So maybe I have some questions or some answers to the questions, but I don't know all of them. So I want my insured to answer them. I think we went over the reverse portal, right, Lisa? Is that what we went over with Hunter?
We did.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, okay. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. So this is where you send the questions to them. You press OK.
Okay.
And then you click Save. So the email will generate for you, and at the top, it's asking you to configure your email server. So highly recommend completing that. So Appulate can send the email out directly as you, as well as put a copy in your email server's outbox. So you'll click Send, and the system will then send a link to your insured via email. Your insured will click the mobile-friendly link, complete the questions that are presented to them in a clear and clean Q&A view. Once the questions have been completed by your insured, you'll receive an email notification that your insured updated a questionnaire. And when you log back into Appulate, you'll see that all of the data that your insured provided has automatically populated into the Appulate platform for you. So any of the questions that your insured answers, you actually don't have to go back in there and answer them yourself. It'll automatically save for you.
Okay.
Any questions before I start working on my first submission?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. So the first market that we're going to look at today is Westlake GA. And Westlake GA has this little clover image next to their name, and this represents an Appulate style submission. Appulate style submission markets allow you to complete the entire rate, quote, and bind process for that market entirely within Appulate. You'll see some markets have this little lightning bolt next to their name, and this represents a live API for that market, which means you have an opportunity to receive an instant bindable quote from that market, as long as the submission doesn't need to be referred back to underwriting. Appulate style submission can be both direct carriers as well as MGAs or brokers. The only difference of workflow is direct carriers do not have submarket lists, while MGAs or brokers may have those submarkets for you. Using Westlake GA as our example, we're being shown what markets they can approach on our behalf. We also have the power to select and deselect from this submarket list. So essentially, we're telling our MGA or broker exactly what markets we want them to approach for us. So today, I'm going to choose Amtrust and Encino. The system's lagging a little bit. Sorry about that. Once your submarkets are selected, we're going to go to the middle of the screen and focus on these colorful letter indicators. These letter indicators can provide you with valuable information specific to your submission. So if I hover over this red D that stands for decline, the market is providing us with their declination reason in this yellow box. So on this one, the FEIN is already in the system because I use this FEIN every time I started training, so it's blocking me. But if this were a true declination, you as an agent might choose to stop right here because most agents don't try to submit on something that they're already blocked on. But in this case, I just need to give the system an acceptable FEIN. So I'm going to click on this FEIN question right here. And because the link is live and dynamic, the system takes the guesswork out of where a question is located and highlights it in a red box for me. So I don't have to go searching through these tabs, wondering where that question is to redo or change my numbers up a little bit. It'll take me directly to the question. So now I just need to change a few numbers around. Okay, so because the link is live and dynamic, the system updated in real time and my red D went from, it changed to an orange A for pending acceptance. So if I hover over this again, I can continue answering these questions that that are required by the carrier. And once you answer something, it gets taken out of this list. And in this section, I like to point out there's a couple of different ways you can answer these questions. You can, of course, continue clicking through these links and it'll take you directly to the question. Or you can stay in this section at the top right here of this tab. It's giving you the amount of questions in this section that you have to answer. And the questions are indicated, or you'll see a red asterisk next to them. So if I prefer to stay in this section, if you want to go through the links list, it'll just take you right to it. Whatever you prefer. We also have a shortcut for you guys. If you know that the answers to all of these questions are no, there's a shortcut to the right-hand side where you can mark all of them no at one time. And then this number will update in real time as well once a question is answered. Do you guys have any questions for me while I go through and answer my questions?
Good.
I'm sorry, my question is just in this scenario. So the questions that we're answering now, were they not answered on the Accord app or that supplemental application? And so that's why we're
correct.
Do this now.
Correct.
Okay.
So my Accord form didn't, some of these won't be duplicated, but like, or whether these ones were all checked in here.
Okay.
So again, the more thorough your Accord forms to fill out, the more information that will populate and tabulate.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions?
None.
Okay.
All good.
So I'm adding Nicole as the contact. You have to give your contact a role. So maybe Nicole's the owner of the business, but maybe she also takes care of billing in the business. This person can have as many roles as needed. So it's not capped at any amount of roles that one person has, just so you guys know. Okay. So now that I answered all of the missing and required questions, I'm going to head back up and you can see that my letter indicators are now all green. Green is good. It's what you strive for every time you do a submission, because once they're all green, you can go to the right-hand side and click the green submit button. And I do apologize, my testing environment is a lot slower than you'll see on the production side. So just bear with me while this loads. Okay, so since our API for Amtrust is live and Appulate, I was able to receive an instant bindable quote from them. While our other submarket, Encino, will need to have a quote uploaded by the underwriter, But when the underwriter does upload a quote on their end, you'll receive an email notification letting you know that the quote is in the Appulate system for you. I don't know if you guys work with Amtrust or have in the past. I just like to show people this if they're familiar with Amtrust. This is the exact same Amtrust format you would normally receive directly from an underwriter or downloading from their website. So the quote format in Appulate will not change from what you're used to. You, of course, want to review your quote as you normally would and then send it off to your insured. If you get to the point where you're ready to bind, then we're going to go to the right-hand side and refer to this orange request to bind button. Ours is currently orange because it's letting us know that we have binding requirements to take care of first. So hovering over this, it looks like I need to get my Accord 130 signed and to upload loss runs. Do you guys have any questions for me before I start with my Accord forms?
No.
Nope.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side and click on this Forms tab right here. And then in line with my Accord 130, I'm going to go all the way to the right-hand side and click on those 3 dots and select Sign. You'll assign yourself as the agency representative, and then your insured information would be the applicant. I'm going to deselect my insured today, and I'm going to click OK. Once you click OK, the form will then auto-populate for you to sign. And if you had an insured, it sends them a mobile-friendly link via email. Once your insured clicks the signature link, they're going to be taken through the exact same signature process I'm going to show you guys right now. So the form will populate, and to start signing, you'll click on this jumping green arrow, which takes you to the bottom of the Accord form, to this orange box to click on. You'll type in your name. You can choose a fancy font if you want, or just save and insert. And then there's another jumping green arrow that's going to make us finalize this. And then you have to check this box to agree to the terms and conditions of your signature and click Sign. Once yourself as the producer or your insured signs a form, those signatures auto-populate onto the form for you. All signatures obtained in the Appulate platform are legal and binding in court, and an audit trail of all signatures will generate for you. If you ever want to download that audit trail or the signed document, we're going to go back to the Forms tab. And I'm going to drop my Accord 130 down. This gold-tipped pen, my signature is pending right now. So it's not here for me quite yet, but my audit trail is right here. And once you see a blue squiggly line right here instead of this gold-tipped pen, your signed document will be here as well. It's just taking a little while. Any questions on signed forms?
No. Thanks.
Nope.
Okay, great. So since we took care of the required signature, I'm going to proceed with loss runs. And I'm going to go to the left-hand side and click on this loss run section. And you see Agora West right here, and that's because I included prior carrier information on my Accord form, so they automatically populated when I uplinked my Accord. But if you need to edit any of this information or add prior carrier information, you'll just click on this Edit Insurance History, and that's where you can fill it out right here. So I do have demo loss runs I'll upload for the submission, but I want to talk you through our Loss Runner tool because you have access to it. Loss Runner essentially allows you as the agent to request loss runs on behalf of your insured or a new business prospect in a few different ways depending on the insured situation. So to launch Loss Runner, I'm going to go to the right-hand side and click on the Send Loss Runner button. And Loss Runner will launch with the default request type being Letter of Authorization. This is because it's the most commonly used request type in the system. And this one also does require an insured signature. But what Letter of Authorization is, it's a letter from the insured directly to the carrier, giving the carrier permission to return loss runs to you as the agent. So it's cutting a prior agent out completely and going directly to the carrier, because we all know that those difficult agents are out there when trying to get loss runs for an insured. So it's taking them out of the formula completely and having the carrier give them back to you as the agent. I've had a lot of feedback recently that the Letter of Authorization, they're getting loss runs back the next day or within 2 days from the carrier. So it sounds like this is a pretty quick way to get loss runs back from them. We also, if you drop this down, did you have a question, Lisa? Sorry.
No, I just said that's neat. Or it just sounds.
Yes, it is very. We also have broker of record letter, agency loss run request letter, and insured loss run request letter, but I'm going to stick with letter of authorization and talk you through this one today. So starting at the top of the letter, Appulate will populate your insured's information, followed by the market that you're requesting loss runs from, including this editable destination. So a lot of loss runs department has specific fax number, email addresses. Appulate does our best to have that accurate information, but we're not always privy to when they change anything. So just make sure that that's the right destination to request your loss runs from. It's followed by the policy number in the policy period for your insured. And then it concludes with the body of the letter itself, which will provide the market with the return destination being yourself as the agent, and then your insured's information down below. You want to make sure that you check this box to follow up on this. So maybe within 7 days, you don't receive these loss runs back from the market. Appulate will send out another signed letter requesting loss runs again for you. And then you'll click send, and then you'll click OK. Since this needs the insured signature, it'll send them a mobile-friendly link to sign. Once signed, the signed request, including the audit trail that proves the validity of the digital signature provided, is sent to the market destination that you confirmed earlier in the letter. Appulate will track and timestamp all actions related to loss runners, with the exception of when loss runs are returned to you by the market. So you're going to get your loss runs back from the market as you normally would, most likely through email. So when you get those back, you want to go back into Appulate and get them into the system. To do so, we're going to go all the way to the right-hand side to those 3 dots and upload our loss runs. And this will also timestamp who uploaded the loss runs and when. Do you guys have any questions on Loss Runner?
No.
Nope.
Thanks.
Okay, great. So now that I uploaded the loss runs, this took care of the final binding requirement for Amtrust. So if we were ready to bind this quote, we could just go to the right-hand side and click the Request to Bind button. So that's the Appulate style submission workflow. Do you guys have any questions on that workflow?
No.
Nope.
Okay, great. So the next submission style is e-submission, and e-submission is this globe with the paper scroll in front of it. And they're still partners of Appulate, just like Appulate style submission markets are. The difference is e-submission markets have carrier portals that they still want you to continue using, and that's absolutely fine because Appulate will bridge over duplicated data housed in the system to that carrier portal for you. So to initiate an e-submission, I'm going to go in line with Arrowhead all the way to the right-hand side and click this green submit button. The system will then update your submission status to submission initiated, and a new button will show up right here that says finish submission once it's done loading. Sorry, it's Friday. There we go. So we're going to click on this finish submission button. And the system will open the carrier portal and populate all duplicate data from the Appulate system to the carrier portal for you. You want to make sure that you review your submission and answer any questions that weren't duplicate in Appulate. So some of these questions you see are blank. It's just because Appulate doesn't ask these questions. So you want to make sure that you answer any unanswered questions. And you'll continue clicking through your screens and allowing Appulate to turbocharge your submission by populating duplicate data in real time. You'll still obtain your quote as you're normally accustomed to, whether it's through email or downloading on their website. However, once you obtain your quote outside of Appulate, you want to make sure that you load it back into the system. To do so, we're going to go back into Appulate, and we're going to go in line with Arrowhead to the right-hand side to those 3 dots and upload our quote. Give a second to upload. So this quote markup option, this is if you use IPFS as a finance company, Appulate can help you with some billing, but it's only for IPFS. I don't know if you guys use IPFS or not. If it doesn't pertain to you, you'll just escape this, but it'll pop up every time you try and upload a quote. Okay, so my quote is in here. And if you end up binding this quote with Arrowhead, you want to make sure you go to the right-hand side and click this Mark as Bound button. This action ensures that your reports are accurate, as well as preparing the system for next year's renewal. Appulate can actually kickstart your renewal process by bringing forward all the information for your insured from the year before and populating it into the new term. But to do this, you have to upload the quote and mark it as bound if you do in fact bind with that carrier directly. Do you guys have any questions on e-submission?
No.
No.
Okay. So next is Weblink, and Weblink submission style is this more colorful globe you see next to builders, and it's very similar to e-submission. What makes them different is e-submission markets are considered in-network and Weblink markets are considered out-of-network. But the actual submission process is going to look really similar because they're both bridging duplicate data from Appulate to the carrier portal for you. So for Weblink, we're going to go in line with builders to that green submit button to the right-hand side, and we're going to click on it. And instead of clicking on finish submission like we did with e-submission, the system will open the carrier window. If this ever happens, it doesn't pop up. You'll just go to those three dots, and we're going to resubmit it. So the system will open the carrier window, and you'll see the system start to run through the auto motions of filling the data for you. It kind of looks like a video, but once it pauses, that's when you can start to fill out additional data that wasn't duplicated in the system. So again, some of these just either weren't filled out or weren't asked in the Appulate system. And then you'll continue clicking through your, clicking through your screens to obtain your quote from your carrier. As you click from one screen to the next, Appulate will continue to autofill that information in real time for you. Again, on this one, after you obtain your quote, you want to make sure that you bring it back into the Appulate system by going back in to those three dots to the right-hand side, uploading your quote. And marking it as bound if you do in fact bind with that market. So e-submission and Weblink's extremely similar. The only real difference is e-submission has that extra step in clicking on that finish submission button. Any questions on Weblink?
No.
No.
Okay. So the last email submission, the last submission style is email submission, and it's the little envelope right here. If you see that a market is labeled as an email submission, but you're not sure that that market accepts email submission, you just want to make sure that you reach out to that market directly. To start an email submission, I recommend adding your underwriting contact first. So to do so, we're going to go in line with ACE towards the right-hand side of the screen, and we're going to stop right here where it says select. We're going to click right there, and we're going to add our underwriter. If you don't see your underwriter in the system, you'll just add them, you'll add them right here, but we do have a lot of underwriters in our system. If your underwriter will not change regardless of your use of Appulate, so whoever you normally work with is who you're still going to work with, even though you're using Appulate. Once your underwriter's added to the record, we're going to click on the green submit button, and this will populate your email submission for you. Again, at the top, just make sure you configure your email server. You'll then proceed to fill out the email submission as you normally would. And if your submission is within the acceptable time frame of that market, you're just going to click on the submit button. But let's say you're marketing an account and you are submitting to 3 markets and one of them is outside of their time frame. Maybe you're 2 weeks early. Well, I know as a prior agent, I don't want to have to come and revisit this account in 2 weeks. I kind of just want to move on to my next account. So what I'm going to do for this last submission, I'm going to schedule an email submission to be sent out in 2 weeks. So to do so, you're going to click on this little clock button right here. And this gives you your location's current date and time. So I'm going to schedule this to go out September 17th. I'm, of course, going to change this to Insurance Magic Hour, 12:01 a.m. to block the market that morning. And I'm going to click on Done. And I'm going to click OK. Once you click OK, the system will schedule that email and the status for that market will be changed to scheduled. If you go to the left-hand side and click on this activity tab, not only is this a timestamped log of everything you've done so far regarding your submission, you can see that the last activity is the scheduling of my email. So on September 17th, when I get into the office, maybe I get in at 8 o'clock in the morning, I log into Appulate, I'm going to see a new line activity in here from 12:01 a.m. That's the sending of my email submission to Ace American Insurance Company. This log is also exportable via Excel using this export to Excel feature right in the upper right-hand corner. Do you guys have any questions on email submission or any other workflow in Appulate?
Nope.
No.
Okay, great. Well, so that's the workflow portion. I'm going to show you where that additional training is for you guys. So training resources are going to be in the Help tab at the blue dashboard. This first one is Help Center. This provides searchable written article-based learning. So if you want to learn more about Loss Runner, because it's a very neat feature, you just type in Loss Runner and you can read all about it in this section. The next one is Quick Start, and this is a page that breaks it out step by step on how to do certain things within Appulate. So if you forget how to add your markets or add your credentials for those markets, you'll go right here and this breaks it out step by step and tells you how to do it. The next one is video tutorials, and it's probably one of my favorite sections because they're previously recorded training videos and they're anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes long. But if you go in this section will show you how to do certain things within Appulate. So if you forget how to download Uplink or Weblink, you can play these videos, and maybe if you have 2 screens, you can have the YouTube video up on one screen and then your Appulate system up on the other screen and work through it while the YouTube video is going. We have a lot of different ones in here. We have e-submission. Definitely a great section in Appulate. The next one is webinars. So if you ever want to watch and listen to exactly what we went over today, I host premium webinars every Tuesday. I don't have one upcoming, but if you see one on Tuesday, you can sign up for it. Or if you don't want to wait until Tuesday, there's an on-demand one as well. Lisa, of course, I am recording this, so you guys can kind of have it as your own recorded webinar if you wish. I'll send that later. And then the last option I like to give people is if you click in the logo on the upper left-hand corner of the screen, down in the right-hand bottom corner of the screen are these 2 little bubbles. This is a live chat option that will take you to our support team. They're so knowledgeable and thorough. I utilize them a lot. If I don't know something, I'll go to them. But feel free to live chat with somebody. Of course, you can always reach out to Hunter or I will be your dedicated account manager as a premium client, so I am always available. Hunter is too for any questions. So feel free to utilize us as well. Do you guys have any questions for me today?
Nope. Everything looks good.
I'm good. Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate all of your guys' time today. I know you guys are super busy. It's a busy time of year. But thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anybody at Appulate and we'll help you get through anything you need.
Appreciate it. Jessica, I think the only question I have would be, and maybe you covered this, I apologize if you did, because I missed the very beginning of this meeting. How do we actually access it, usernames, passwords, whatever, to log in and begin working in the demo environment?
Yeah, I can show you that real quick. I'll send the recording. So let me log out here really quick. So
if you already covered it, you don't have to cover it again. If it's on the recording,
okay,
I can go watch.
It'll be at the beginning.
Okay, perfect.
It's at the very beginning.
All right, very good. Cool.
All right,
That's all. That's the only question I have.
Okay, well, I'll give you guys a little bit of time back in your day. I really appreciate you guys joining me this morning.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great day, you guys.
All
You
right,
too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.